Okay, so everyone was asking for a deep dive into Kathy Hilton's marriage to Rick,
Yeah.
especially after that YouTube video with that crazy title about Kathy's announcement,
Right.
the one that's going to break your heart.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
We're going to break it all down
Yeah, let's get into it.
together.
Um, it's really interesting how just one little comment can get so many people talking,
Right.
especially when it comes to a couple like the Hiltons.
Yeah.
They've really built their whole lives around a certain image, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. The video starts off like a total celebration,
Yeah.
45th anniversary trips to Paris and London, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
And Kathy's even giving interviews about like the secrets to their long-lasting marriage.
Yeah, it's so classic Hilton, isn't it?
Oh,
Projecting this image of like perfect love and shared values.
yeah.
But then there's that comment, where Kathy talks about how important it was to start young and grow up together.
It's almost like she's saying they like built their identities
Right.
as individuals. At the same time, they were building their identity as a couple.
Exactly. And that kind of bond is really hard to find later in life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it suggests they depend on each other in a way that goes way beyond just like
Mhm.
shared interests or values.
It makes you wonder if that's like part of what makes their relationship so strong,
Right.
even with all the pressure of their lifestyle.
It's definitely something to think about. They've been through a lot together,
Oh, yeah.
and that shared history becomes such a powerful force when you're facing challenges.
Totally. But, okay, then the video, like, totally changes.
Oh, yeah.
With that hot mic moment that's got everyone talking.
What happened?
Kathy's just chatting with a producer, and she just drops this line about how we don't have to pretend.
Oh, that's juicy.
Right. It's such a loaded statement.
Yeah.
Especially because they're so careful about their public image.
It's like she's hinting that what we see isn't the whole story.
Totally. And of course, the producer, like, jumps right on it, asks her what she means, and Kathy just smiles, that knowing smile, and says, Rick and I, well, we have an understanding.
Okay, so that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
What is this understanding exactly?
Yeah.
Is there something more going on than just like a traditional marriage?
The video then shows these clips of the Hiltons with other reality TV couples.
Okay.
And it's so different,
Gets how?
Like, all the other couples are super affectionate,
Uh-huh.
but Kathy and Rick are just, like, presenting this united front.
Hmm.
It's almost like they're business partners more than anything else.
It's an interesting observation. For sure. Maybe for them, marriage is less about like,
Okay.
those big displays of emotion and more about a partnership
Yeah.
that benefits both of them.
So you're saying their marriage might be more like
Right.
a strategic collaboration?
It's definitely possible. We have to remember they're not just a couple.
Yeah.
They're a brand,
Yeah.
a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Their marriage is about more than just love. It's about the stability of the Hilton Empire.
Right. And remember what Kathy said about having the right influences around you.
Huh.
It's like they've chosen their friends
Yeah.
to support their goals.
Precisely. Their social circle is part of their success strategy.
Okay, so we're starting to see a different side to their relationship now.
Right. It's not all hearts and flowers.
Less about romance and more about practicality.
And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Yeah.
We're going beyond the surface
Uh-huh.
and figuring out the complexities of a marriage that's lasted for decades.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, we have to talk about Lisa Rinna's reaction to all of this.
Oh, yes. Lisa Rinna, always a wild card.
Right. Her response was so dramatic.
She knows how to work it.
She was basically throwing shade and fueling all the speculation.
Classic Rinna.
It makes you think, was she really concerned or was she just trying to stay relevant?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Honestly, reality TV thrives on drama.
Oh.
And she is a pro at creating it.
So you're saying she's using this to her advantage?
Oh, she's definitely not letting this opportunity go to waste. It's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
Take someone else's drama
Yeah.
and make it your own storyline.
But let's not forget about Paris and Nikki.
Right.
They grew up with this unique relationship as their model for marriage.
It's true. Their perspective is really valuable.
Right. They've talked about how much they admire their mom's strength.
Yeah.
But they've also hinted that maybe their idea of a successful partnership is a little different.
It's like a whole new generation with a whole new way of looking at marriage.
They've seen their parents' success,
Yeah.
but they're open to different kinds of partnership.
Exactly. They're not afraid to challenge the traditional definition of marriage.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have.
We've explored their image, that understanding, and even Lisa Rinna's reaction.
Yeah. And we're starting to see that their marriage is a lot more complicated than it looks.
It's definitely not a fairy tale, But it's fascinating to see how they've made it work.
It really challenges our ideas about what a successful marriage should look like.
But there's still more to uncover.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Kathy's comment about needing to run everything by Rick?
Oh, that's a good one.
That could be the key to understanding their relationship.
We'll have to dig into that next time.
Stay tuned, because this deep dive is far from over. So we were just talking about how Kathy said she has to run everything by Rick.
Right.
It seems like a pretty casual comment,
Mm-hmm.
but it really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
Mm.
On the surface, it kind of goes against that whole understanding thing.
Right.
You know, this modern arrangement they seem to have.
Yeah.
But what if it actually supports it?
Wait, how could that be?
Maybe their understanding isn't about, like, making every single decision together,
Okay.
but about, like, dividing things up based on what they're good at.
So, like, Kathy handles certain things.
Right. Like maybe the social stuff or charity events.
And Rick takes the lead on other things.
Yeah, like business deals or investments.
So it's not about control. It's more like recognizing each other's strengths
Okay.
and trusting each other to make the best decisions.
It could be a really smart way to manage everything they have going on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It could explain why they've been together so long.
For sure.
They're not stuck in that traditional model where one person's always the boss.
Right.
They found a system that works for them.
It reminds us that lasting relationships need balance and compromise.
Totally.
It's not always about splitting every single thing 50-50.
Yeah.
It's about finding a way to make decisions where both people feel respected and valued.
You know, I think we see this kind of thing in other powerful couples too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about those super successful couples in business or Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
They use each other's strengths to reach their goals together.
Maybe the Hiltons are doing the same thing in their marriage.
It's definitely possible. Instead of seeing that comment about needing Rick's approval as like a bad thing,
Yeah.
it might actually show how strong their partnership is.
It really challenges our ideas about what a healthy power dynamic looks like in a marriage.
Right. It's not always about who has the final say.
It's about how they work together.
Exactly.
This whole deep dive is changing my whole view of the Hiltons.
I know, right? It's like we're peeling back all those layers and finding something way more complex underneath.
Yeah. Okay, but let's go back to that hot mic moment.
Yeah, right.
Do you think Kathy meant to say that?
You mean about the pretending?
Yeah, like, do you think she was trying to send a message?
Well, remember, reality TV stars are really good at controlling their image.
Yeah.
So it's possible she knew exactly what she was doing.
Like she was trying to change the story.
Maybe. She could have been trying to create a sense of mystery or challenge what people think about her marriage.
To remind everyone that they don't know everything.
Exactly. There's a part of their lives they keep private.
And by giving us a little peek.
She keeps us guessing,
Yeah.
which keeps people talking.
It's actually a pretty smart move.
Yep.
She got people talking without revealing anything really damaging.
It's all about strategy.
Yeah. Okay, but what about Rick? We've talked about how Kathy might have used this to her advantage. But how do you think he feels about all of this?
It's hard to say. Rick's always been very private.
Yeah.
He's happy to let Kathy be the one in the spotlight.
So maybe he doesn't like all this attention on their marriage.
It's possible.
Hmm.
He's always been careful about protecting their privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of public analysis might feel really intrusive.
But wouldn't he have known that could happen when they went on reality TV?
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean he likes it.
True.
They probably had a lot of reasons for doing the show.
Yeah.
Like maybe business opportunities or exposure for their brand. Or maybe it was more Kathy's thing.
So maybe he's not comfortable with everyone knowing their business.
It happens a lot with famous couples, trying to balance their public image with their private lives.
And that can cause problems.
Yeah, even in the best relationships.
It makes you wonder what they talk about when the cameras are off.
Right. Like, how are they dealing with all this attention and speculation?
I guess we'll never know.
Their true feelings are probably a secret.
It's just another part of the mystery.
Part of what makes them so interesting.
Yeah, they've stayed in the public eye for so long, not just because of their money and status, but because they always keep us guessing.
They're masters of intrigue.
Okay, so we've talked about Kathy and Rick and Lisa Rinna.
Yeah.
And even tried to figure out what Rick's thinking. But let's get back to Paris and Nikki.
Okay.
Their views on marriage are important for understanding how relationships are changing.
Especially for their generation.
They grew up seeing a very specific kind of marriage.
Right.
One that might seem weird to some people. But it obviously worked for their parents.
It's interesting how they admire their mom's strength, But they also think a successful marriage can look different.
They're open to new possibilities.
Yeah, they're not afraid to define things for themselves.
It's like they learned from their parents that there's no one right way to be married.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you, even if it's not traditional.
And their upbringing probably influenced their own relationships.
For sure.
Do they follow their parents' model, or have they done things differently?
Well, that's what we'll talk about next.
Stay tuned to find out how Paris and Nikki are navigating love and relationships.
In a world shaped by their parents' unique marriage.
We were just talking about how Paris and Nikki might see marriage a little differently than their parents.
Yeah?
It's so interesting, how they're doing their own thing,
Yeah.
but they still respect how their parents made it work.
I think it shows how things are changing.
Yeah.
Younger generations don't feel like they have to follow their parents' footsteps,
Exactly. They want to make their own rules.
Oh, yeah.
And both Paris and Nikki have chosen partners and built families
Right.
that really reflect what's important to them.
Paris has talked about wanting a traditional family, which is so different from what we've seen with her parents.
And her wedding to Carterium is like straight out of a fairy tale.
It was.
Big ceremony, lots of love, the whole thing.
It seems like she's choosing a different path.
Yeah.
One where romantic love is really important.
But don't you think family and legacy still matter to her?
Of course. She's still a Hilton. That's a huge part of who she is.
Yeah.
But she's doing things her own way.
And what about Nikki? Her marriage seems more like her parents, don't you think?
I can see that. She married James Rothschild.
Yeah.
His family is also super successful.
Right. Like old money and business empires. It's like she's continuing that tradition of strategic partnerships.
But in a more modern way.
Yeah, she's got her own career. She's involved in the family business. And it seems like she and her husband are really equal partners.
It's like she took the best parts of her parents' relationship.
Right. The ambition, the smart thinking. But she's doing it in a way that feels more current.
She's learned from the past, but she's making her own future.
So Paris and Nikki show us two different ways to handle that Hilton legacy.
One sticking with tradition.
And the other's changing the game.
But both of them are proof that there's no one right way to have a successful relationship.
It's like the Hiltons as a whole family are a perfect example of how marriage and relationships are changing.
They show us the power of family history.
But also how love and commitment can evolve.
Their story makes us question everything we thought we knew.
Yeah.
It encourages us to be open to different types of relationships.
And to realize that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to love.
Exactly.
So as you think about the Hiltons and their dynamic, remember their story isn't over yet.
That's true.
Who knows what will happen next?
We'll have to wait and see.
But one thing's for sure.
Yeah.
They'll always keep us interested and make us rethink what we thought we knew about love.
And family and how relationships work.
Absolutely. So what do you think? What does the Hilton story tell us about how marriage and relationships are changing in our own lives?
That's a good question.
Keep thinking about it and stay curious.